It's a pipeline the oil patch is counting on. Northern Gateway would carry 500,000 barrels a day of Alberta crude to Kitimat, BC for export to Asian countries. Enbridge says its pipeline would boost Canada's GDP by $300 billion over 3 decades. It hasn't been an easy road for the $6.5 billion pipeline, which was originally proposed nearly a decade ago. The opposition to Gateway has been constant and loud, at times making the pipeline seem more like a pipe dream. The BC government, First Nations and environmental groups all have concerns. Still in December, a federal panel gave Gateway the green light, attaching more than 200 conditions. Cabinet then had 6 months to make the final decision.
Say yes to British Columbia, reject this bad pipeline.
So what we do is we set up independent expert scientific panels that examine the facts.
Didn't matter that over 100 First Nations groups had opposed it. Didn't matter that referenda had been held in communities that had rejected it. Didn't matter that hundreds of scientists said it was a terribly bad idea. He doesn't listen to anyone, and this is a reflection of that.
Even with a yes for Gateway, breaking ground might be another story. A slew of lawsuits have been filed to stop the project, and there are more on the way.
Interestingly, the Conservatives won't be putting up anyone to talk about this decision today, perhaps waiting until the dust settles. Make no mistake, though, in the past, most Conservative MPs and ministers haven't been shy about expressing their support for this project.
Hi there, I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
It is Saturday, June the 21st, and the entire nation is absolutely going nuts.
We're live at the site of the Kelowna protest against the Enbridge pipeline.
Check this out. We've got a whole bunch of people who are styling. They have come out, just like us, to start protesting the Enbridge pipeline and the recent Conservative decision about that. We ran a clip to start things off.
And here's the reaction from the BC residents.
Check this out.
In northwest BC, where arguably there's the most to gain or lose from the Northern Gateway, opponents have been consistently louder and more forceful than those who are on side, especially so today.
Really, it's great for some, multinational corporations, but it's not great for Canadians and certainly not for British Columbians.
Enbridge has been pouring money into a campaign to try to turn the tide, to convince British Columbians that moving 220 large tankers a year filled with thick, heavy bitumen through tight waterways is safe. The company insists support is turning. BC's largest business lobby group tweeted its support, and on this day it was easier to find supporters than it has been in the past. But it's hard to see many BC First Nations ever coming around. The Haisla live right at the pipeline terminus on the Douglas Channel.
It's every mistake you could think of in terms of bringing the project to us in the first place. They've made every mistake. I don't know how you correct it.
And today, a parade of First Nations leaders said no way.
We're absolutely disgusted with the arrogance of the Harper government.
This is a project that really is going to be challenged because it does jeopardize our rights. It does jeopardize our title. And we will do everything we can.
Key among the 5 conditions set out by the province is accommodating First Nations and proving that BC has a world-class capacity to clean up after a major spill. Still, those out protesting Ottawa's decision this evening argue there's no way to really ever undo the damage. Chris Brown, CBC News, Vancouver.
So I gotta say, wow.
Wow, well, BC doesn't really want the idea. Of course, the profits aren't for BC, they're all for Alberta and the oil companies.
Yes, and of course, the propaganda on the mainstream news stations, on the mainstream media is all pro-pipeline. Of course, whenever they get on Facebook, there's a different story.
And of course, when questioned by the press, the Conservative government seems to have very little to say about the ruling.
Yes! In fact, check this out.
For years, the Torries have touted the benefits of Enbridge's Northern Gateway pipeline, but a day after approving the project, many Conservative MPs didn't want to talk about it.
On the Northern Gateway, sir?
Why the silence? The pipeline faces major opposition from BC, Aboriginal and environmental groups. Now, some wonder whether even the Conservatives believe the project will ever get built. On Twitter, one government official pointing to the 200-plus conditions the pipeline must still meet went so far as to tweet, "The Gateway decision isn't a yes, it's a maybe." The opposition pounced, demanding to know why the government was changing its tune.
Just what they do when they see difficulties is they hide.
The government is acting on the advice of an independent scientific panel that thoroughly reviewed these matters.
The Prime Minister wasn't just on the hot seat in Ottawa.
Harper has abandoned British Columbians.
Gateway will carry crude from Alberta to Kitimat, BC. In Kitimat, the pipeline's approval has been met with disappointment. Residents are worried about the environmental impact. A province to the east, a very different reaction. If built, Gateway will generate $36 billion of royalty revenue for Alberta over 3 decades. Enbridge says construction could start as early as next year.
Keep in mind, though, there's a number of lawsuits before the courts that aim to stop the pipeline from being built. And then there's the 2015 federal election. Both opposition party leaders have said if elected, even if construction on the pipeline has started, they'll stop it.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing.
Okay. Go ahead.
So they don't have a lot to say on this subject. I think they're a little concerned about their image.
Yes, image. They're trying to paint themselves as a green group. That was rather amusing.
Well, I love the way that Harper talks about the fact that it was an independent study funded by the oil companies.
I'm sorry, I've got a real problem with that. Sort of like Monsanto giving us news about GMOs. Locally, one of our major intellects was here on the bridge with us. Ran a tape on him. Darren Fiddler, he kind of captured the moment.
Take it away, Darren.
Okay, I'm here. Look who's here.
Oh, Jesus.
It's Darren Fiddler. What's happening, man? What are we doing?
We are taking down Harper, taking down these pipelines. We are going to demolish his plan on this. This is ridiculous. He's killing our democracy. He's become a tyrant. So we can go on. We know his problems there, but what we have to do is start solidarity.
Okay.
It's not just the oil guys. It's us with the GMO and Monsanto and everyone else that's taking apart our society. We have to get together and start working together. We got to get this going because that's the only way we're going to get anything going on.
Right on, man. Enough division. Let's get some unity going.
You bet, man.
And you can hear it, man. People are really behind this.
Oh, totally. The groups are way like it's just. I want to see more though. It's never enough for me.
You know it.
We're building power here, so
it's funny because we're sitting there going. I was sitting there saying, "Well, it's honking like crazy, like people are. They're going by." As soon as the banner went up, which is really awesome.
Oh yeah, man, this is great.
Yeah. So what do you think we should do next?
Next? Well, let's take them out of the source. I think one of our best plans would be to take our vehicles, go and line up behind the gas poles there, put in 5 cents. Nice lineup. Block them up. Constipate the gas stations.
I get you, man.
Yeah, man.
So a little bit of direct action is not going to hurt.
I think so. We got to show them who's boss.
You know it. We'll back you up 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being on Radio Free.
Thanks, man.
That's crazy. Wow, can you ever hear the major honks out here?
Yeah, people are really supporting this idea. Of course, you know, it's a bit of sleight of hand that they're doing. You know, on the one hand, they're getting all the reaction against Enbridge, but meanwhile, they're trying to push through LNG and fracking.
Yes, and they're also trying to push through $100 billion for the military-industrial complex. Just before the announcement about the pipeline, they started talking about improving Canada's military to the tune of our bankruptcy.
However, this Enbridge decision may turn out to be a bit of a bad luck move on the part of the Tories. They may be committing what they call political suicide.
Say it's not so, but grin while you see this.
Its decision to approve development of the controversial Northern Gateway oil pipeline could cost Canada's governing Conservatives critical support in British Columbia, where they will need a strong showing in the 2015 election to secure another majority in Parliament. Prime Minister Stephen Harper's Conservatives have lots to lose in the Pacific Coast province, where they have 21 of its 36 seats in the House of Commons. As well as the seats they hold, they're banking on picking up some of the 6 new seats in Vancouver's suburbs and elsewhere that British Columbia will get for next year's election. The $7.2 billion pipeline project would carry diluted bitumen from Alberta's oil sands to the Pacific coast, where it would be shipped to Asian markets. The project is backed by business groups but opposed by environmentalists, many Native communities, and opposition parties. A new online poll issued by Angus Reid on Wednesday found British Columbian public opinion more opposed to the Enbridge Inc. pipeline than in favor, 40% versus 38%, with the rest undecided. Opposition to the project was twice as strong in British Columbia as in neighboring Alberta.
Okay, so this is the part where we smile and smile.
That's right, because most of the country is against the Enbridge oil project.
Of course, most of the country is for things like science, long-form census, so the hospitals know what to do.
And politicians listening to the people.
How about transparency and accountability?
Oh, that's a bad word in the Harper government.
I got to roll that tape where Harper is promising us accountability and, of course, other things. But coming up next, we have got another quick 15 minutes right here. We're going to be talking about the veterans protesting.
We're going to talk about CSEC and your privacy rights.
And, of course, the Supreme Court is in ours as we start looking forward to July the 1st. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. 15 more minutes on the way.
TransCanada comes here today offering prosperity and jobs. It's the same old story, but history clearly shows us the intentions of corporations like TransCanada and Enbridge.
TransCanada will be stopped in all directions. Keystone XL, Energy East, and this direction in Wet'suwet'en territories. You are not welcome here. Hydraulic fracturing and tar sands have all worn out their welcome.
We're about the land, the air, and the water. We're the people of the land. When people come in and start taking this away from us and threatening to destroy what we have and we've had for many, many years, hundreds of thousands of years, when people come in for money, for development, and when you're ruining our land, air, and water, we take offense to that. We're going to stop you, we're going to fight you, we'll sue you. We're very offended. This has got to stop. I have children who belong to this land and water, and that's why I'm standing here today.
Dale, can I ask you a few questions?
Right, what would you like? Please don't grab my camera like that. Don't put your camera in my face. What would you like to know?
Well, this is a public meeting, so
yeah, it
cameras
is.
are absolutely permitted. And if you touch his camera again, you do realize that it would be
I won't touch his camera.
Great, well, we can record the conversation.
Okay.
It's not going to end. So what do you think of what just happened?
Come on over and join me. I think some people express their opinion that they have a right to express.
And your thoughts
Those people
about the opinions that they express?
I think they're wrong.
Can you give reasons why?
Because I think they're wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think they're misinformed.
And what would be the misinformation?
Well, that we're going to go fracking and things like that. That's misinformation.
Well, TransCanada would go fracking, but fracking companies could be introduced if your pipeline creates the infrastructure to develop industry resources. Is that what
I don't know what the plan is to build the infrastructure. Like, really? I think we should. Yeah.
So you wouldn't answer that question if having a pipeline would develop industry?
Yeah, it's not a question about answering the question. So, are you legitimate press? Where are you from?
I live here.
I know, but are you press?
No.
Okay. So we're not going to answer any questions from people who aren't legitimate press. Okay?
So you don't want to answer the public's questions?
No. Here.
Well, this will be going out to the press today in Vancouver. We've already contacted them, so it'd be nice to have your answer to what you want to say.
So we're not going to be. I don't mind answering questions for you one-on-one, but I mean this is just not what we're looking at.
What are you, sorry, what are you not looking at doing? Interesting.